Hello everyone, and welcome to Right Wing Rising. Please subscribe to this channel if you are new, and like this video down below before you are finished watching. So in my last video, I started a new series called 240ToWin that will be talking about all of the close elections and races to watch up and down the ballot all across the country in different states come this November. For those that missed it, in that first video of the series, I talked about the 10 states where there will be no close races happening this fall. And you can see the state flags for those states listed right here in this row. Having now talked about those, I will now be moving on to the next row, next tier of states, those being the ones that have some races to watch, a handful, not many. They're not battleground states, but they are states that will have some close elections or some elections that will be key for reasons that I will get into in each individual case. And this next tier is going to get started by today talking about the state of Alabama. So that's the first state we're going to put into that column. Alabama will be safe Republican at the presidential level. It will elect large conservative majorities to both branches of the state legislature. 5 of the state's 7 congressional districts will be safe Republican. Another one will be safe Democrat. There's only one key race happening here in the state of Alabama, and that's going to be found in the U.S. House, the 2nd congressional district of the state. This was previously a safe Republican seat, but after the congressional map in the state was redistricted as normal following the 2020 election, given that this process happens every 10 years after the latest census, which of course occurred in 2020, Democrats sued saying that the map was unfairly drawn toward African American constituents, violating the Voting Rights Act, specifically Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, claiming that there was not enough representation and another black majority district needed to be drawn to accommodate them and remedy this problem. Although, as with all redistricting lawsuits, this was less about legality and equality and more so about the Democrats trying to use every advantage to maybe give themselves an extra seat, or at least a seat that would be more favorable for them to win compared to the old 2nd district, which was very safe Republican. The Supreme Court sided with the Democrats and ordered Alabama to redraw the maps that have been used for the first time in the 2022 midterms and make another black majority district. The Republican legislature had to redraw the maps twice to correctly accommodate the ruling, and now the population of the 2nd district is 48.7% African American. And this gives Democrats a big advantage, obviously, in this seat, because they win the black vote historically with normally 85 to 90% of that voting bloc. So many are writing this off as a free flip for the Democrats, but I want to look into this a little bit deeper and see if the Republicans have any real shot at keeping this seat in their column. Because obviously the House majority is razor thin, so any seats that either party could pick up would be huge for their respective chances at the majority following the 2024 elections. Now, if we scroll down here to take a closer look at the district, we can see that if this district, as currently drawn, was in place during the 2020 election, Biden would have won the district by 12.5 percentage points, as we can see right here. But we have to keep in mind that down ballot races, such as House elections, don't always correlate perfectly to the results at the presidential level. And also keep in mind that this seat is an open seat. Barry Moore, as we can see right here, is the congressman for the 2nd district currently, but he chose to run for election in Alabama's 1st district against the incumbent for that seat, Jerry Carl, and he defeated Jerry Carl in the primary and is now going to be the nominee for the 1st district instead of the 2nd district, which, by the way, was a huge primary victory because Jerry Carl is much more establishment and Barry Moore has been a solid conservative in Congress so far in the few years that he has been there. But that is beside the point. Now, if we also look to other hypothetical margins from past elections, if this district had been drawn the way it is in those past elections, we can see here that Hillary Clinton would have won the seat by 10.5 points, so a smaller margin than Biden. Another important one to note is that Kay Ivey, the current Republican governor of the state of Alabama, would have won this seat by almost 2 points. And the Senate race that happened in the 2022 midterms, where Katie Britt won election to a first term, in that open seat, her Democrat opponent would only have won this district by a half point. And granted that Kay Ivey and Katie Britt performed very well in their election victories to the governor and Senate levels, respectively, getting over 60% of the vote overall in the state, Donald Trump is also going to perform very well this November in Alabama. He has won the state with over 60% of the vote in both 2016 and 2020. We can see his margin here. He got 62% of the vote, winning by over 25 points against Biden. And this map here is very, very red with a lot of dark areas. And even in the blue areas, a lot of them are not that dark blue. And there are also a lot of red areas in this area here that is now the 2nd district for Alabama. And looking at this map and Trump's performance, even in 2020, and going to these hypothetical performances in the district for past elections and past candidates, we can see the Republicans still have a chance to at least be competitive in this seat and a non-zero chance to win it. To view a House seat with a similar presidential margin, we can look no farther than California's 27th district, where Mike Garcia is the incumbent. That seat voted for Biden by the same exact margin, 12.4 points, as Alabama's 2nd would have. And Garcia won it by 6.5 points in 2022. Now, he won it more narrowly in 2020. He still outperformed Trump by over 13 points. And this is in California. Don't forget, Alabama has a much more overall conservative and Christian culture than a state like California does, obviously. Over 85% of citizens of the state of Alabama are Christian, and that is very important to keep in mind. If California's 27th district can go Republican at the House level, while being fairly Democrat at the presidential level, there is no reason really at all, that a seat in Alabama with the exact same voting record at the presidential level cannot also go Republican. And they have a fairly solid candidate, the Republicans do, in Caroline Dobson. She's running as a strong Christian conservative, which will help her in a state like Alabama. So until I see data to the contrary, this is still a seat that I will be paying attention to on election night to see if the Republicans can hold it and pull out a victory that would be very positive for their House chances. Because if anyone has learned anything from the current Congress, it would really behoove Republicans to get a much larger majority than the razor-thin one they have, so they actually have room for error to pass key legislation. Furthermore, if we look to the primary election results in the state, on primary night, Democrats combined to get over 57,000 votes in the 2nd district. And the Republicans, they combined to get 56,970 votes. Doing some quick math here, they had a little less than just 200 fewer votes than the Democrats did. But we can see that both the Democratic primary here and the Republican primary went to a runoff. So there would be another election in the district without a presidential primary at the top of the ticket to compare the vote totals of each party to. And we can see here that for the Democrats during the runoff, they combined for 36,000 votes, while the Republicans combined for 25,000 votes. So while as many Republicans did not show up during the runoff as they did for the regular primary race, it still shows that, one, they are being competitive with the Democrat turnout, as it's not as if the Democrats doubled the Republican vote total. And by looking at the regular primary vote total being less than a 200 vote difference, we can see that if Republicans turn out on election night, they have a shot at the district. And finally, once again, visiting the map that I showed in my last video of the 8 Republican safe states and the 2 Democrat safe states, to visualize our tier list over here, where I have the battleground states with lots of close races, and then the states with some races to watch, like we're talking about here with Alabama. I added these categories to the map here, and have marked Alabama as such, since it indeed will have a competitive race in the fall. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to leave your thoughts down below in the comments, and stay tuned for my next installment of this series to see which state I talk about next.